Alrighty, y'all, so it's Thursday and we have about 700 bucks in sales going out. So in this first account here is 300, and then the second account here is 364 and some change. And lastly, 33 big ones. Alright, y'all, so welcome back to another video. This is a pair of Viore pants. Here is the tag. I believe these are a men's 2XL. I found these down at the Goodwill bins probably about 3 weeks ago. They are probably like $2. They're a little bit heavier. It's sold for $35 plus shipping. All right, so you find a ton of SEC schools here as far as sports. Obviously living in Tennessee, you got the Volunteers, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. Those are probably the main teams that I find if I'm not finding like the local teams here. This is a Georgia Bulldog sweatshirt. It's not Nike or anything like that. The brand's is 47. I'm sure you've probably seen it out there if you pick up like sports items. Not a big brand, but usually I'll pick it up if the team is reputable. This one from the bins, probably like $2. It sold for 10 plus shipping. So we got a pair of just basic Nike Flex running shorts. These are the items that you're not going to get rich selling, but you are going to be able to pay your electric bill. And this right here even had a little bit of wear on the logo, but this is a model that people tend to like to run in. So I picked it up at the bins, 50 cents. These sold for 12 plus shipping. All right, so this is a Champion bomber jacket. It's vintage as well. Here is the inside tag. Made in USA. Oops, if I can pull that out. Yeah, made in USA. You can see that the fabric tag is extremely old. It's also lined. It's from Middle Tennessee State. If this was from the Volunteers, this would have went for some insane money. But I found this one at the bins. It's kind of light a little bit, probably under $2 on the buy cost, and it sold for 33 plus shipping. This is an Outdoor Research jacket, a brand that I discovered way back when I still lived in Oregon. It's sort of one of those grid jackets. It has the waffle pattern. Here is the logo down in the bottom corner, and usually these have the exact model down underneath the fabric tag. Yeah, so this one's the women's Figer full zip hoodie, and usually Outdoor Research usually does okay depending on what you pick up. Found this one down here at the bins, $2, and it sold for 30 plus shipping. All right, so here are some notable pickups on my trip at the Goodwill bins this week. This is a vintage Florida Gators, just a snapback hat. Shout out to Tim Tebow. And typically, I've really started to add hats. Probably the last 3 or 4 months, I've kind of shown you guys as I found them here over the course of the last handful of months. These are 2 pair of Hokas. Always a good day when you can grab these for $2 or $3 a piece. Black pair. There's a gray pair. And I actually discovered this brand on a video probably about a year ago, right when we moved to Tennessee. So the brand is called, I believe it's pronounced UFOS. And somebody threw these back probably because they didn't know the brand and I guess didn't feel the need to do the research. But when I seen these, I knew right away. Didn't even really need to look them up. It's a really good grab, especially in this condition. I believe these are recovery slides. But anyway, this is an easy 40 plus ship. And this was probably one of the better finds all day. It's I believe it's a Topo Designs. It's a collab with Subaru, and I believe it's like some form of a sack. I forget the direct name, but anyway, these are going for, and I kind of looked it up, the comps are between 70 and $100, and this was literally rolled out right in front of me when they were doing their accessory rotation. I'm typically not picking up a ton of bags, but this looked brand new, so that was the reason why I grabbed it, and it ended up being a good pickup. All right, so just a basic pair of Patagonia pants. They got the logo right there, and I found these. I want to say these came from Oregon, so I probably had these for at least a year. But anyway, they're really light, probably 50 cents, and they sold for 15 plus shipping. So 2025 basically over. We're basically at Thanksgiving. Then right after that, we'll be looking at Christmas. 4 weeks later. And so, did you meet some of your goals? Hopefully you did. And for me personally, December, Q4 in general, if you're selling pre-owned clothing, just in my experience, it's probably not as what the hype is if you were selling video games, toys, new shoes. For me, usually right around December, early December, it's usually business as usual, but right around the 15th through about the 18th, I noticed that the sales start to tank a little bit as people realize that these items aren't going to arrive in time before Christmas. And pre-owned clothing in general around the holidays is just a really tough sale in a lot of situations. Probably one of my number one questions I get around the holiday time is, do you think this item is suitable as a Christmas gift? Typically, Uncle Billy isn't looking to take used shoes for Christmas. And so I'm using this period right here, the little window right after Thanksgiving and right before Christmas, to really basically test some sourcing methods. So I've been going to Nashville about 2 days a week, and that's been working out really good. I'm usually finding on average right at 200 items per go in those 2 days. But the thing is, they're just really long days. So I'm always trying to figure out what's the best efficient way to run the business. Typically on the days that I go to Nashville, I leave my house about 6:30, and a lot of times I don't even get home until about that time in the evening. So it's a really long day. So I'm trying to see if I drop my days down to just 1 day a week, can I find at least anywhere from 120 to 140 items. So I'm listing right around like 20 items per day. So my bottom floor would be about 140. I tried that this week. I only went to the bins once this week. I found 120 items. I think I probably could have got closer to the 140 mark, but there was basically a fire drill midday. I think there was like a gas leak in the store, and so we had to evacuate and wait outside. And then once we came back in, it was just a lag to kind of get the day back rolling. But I figured if I can go 1 day a week, find right around 140 items for that trip, it would just kind of free me up heading into 2026 to try other sourcing methods that's closer to my house. Because most of the stuff I'm getting at the bins is turn and burn stuff. I do find stuff that I can sell for higher amounts, but usually it's most of the stuff that's just going to keep the lights on. And so as a business owner, you're constantly looking for ways to grow the business, add more to the bottom line, and I'm looking to maybe find like just better items. I pivoted into retail arbitrage heavily probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and that was really for the sake of the holiday time, because I just realized that the pre-owned stuff just doesn't move as well for me and personally in my business. And so those are the things I'm looking to kind of look or tweak heading into 2026. See if I can at least have that method to go down to 1 day at the bins if I have to. Not saying that I'm gonna do this long term. It's just something that I'm testing and seeing kind of how it turns out. So this is an item from Under Armour. Typically, I'll pick Under Armour up if I can find it cheap enough, usually down at the bins. And I don't think the company's doing that great overall. I know Curry just parted ways with them. But anyway, this is a quarter zip and probably costs $2 to $3 from the bins. It's a little bit heavier, and it sold probably in 2 or 3 months for $18 plus shipping. All right, so if you've been watching and you followed our move to Tennessee, you probably remember when we first got here, I was talking about the struggle of finding shoes down here at the Goodwill bins in Nashville. And part of that was because I didn't quite understand kind of how the landscape worked at the bins here. At most bins locations, it's just a little bit different. The same kind of process, but just a little bit different depending on the location. But anyway, I was coming at open, leaving at like 11, and that just wasn't giving me the best chance to find shoes at the bins here. So typically there's a shoe rotation at open, and if you have the persistence to stay all day, and it does take some persistence, they do another shoe rotation right after lunchtime. And so in that case, I found a pair of these boots right here. And typically I'm not looking to pick up boots, but on this particular afternoon, there was just so many people that these were the only item that I was able to find in that rotation. So at open, there's not a lot of people at that first shoe rotation, but usually after lunch, man, the place is bumping as far as the number of people that are in there. So the brand is called Lane. Never heard of this brand before. So the extent of my boot knowledge comes from Ariat or Ariat, depending on kind of how you pronounce it. So my wife and I, we were a part of a wedding party in 2014. Our best friends got married, and so we participated and we were a part of the party. But one of the things we needed to do was to buy a pair of boots so we could kind of coordinate with everybody. And I remember I bought a pair of Ariats, and they were extremely expensive, so I always remembered that. And so I found these down at the bins probably like 2 weeks ago. They probably cost about $3 to $4, and they sold pretty quick for $125 plus shipping. Alrighty, y'all, so got to get all the items shipped, so this is where I think I'm going to wrap the video up at. I appreciate you guys for coming along with me. If you got anything out of it, like it, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch y'all right back here on the next one. Succeed.
This might be all that I know. Think it's okay. I've got a long way to grow. At my own pace. Go the long way. No one taught me how to walk, but I figured it out fine.